Know you've been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin.
I met Betty at the carnival in Spring Valley, Illinois. I guess I became her Cubie doll. This is what she got stuck with.
Bill and I met while he was in the Navy. So he was on submarines, and I say I found him under the sea.
And we met at the ballroom dance in Rochester. And I decided, well, this guy here, he was different than my usual guys that I went out with. So I thought I'd go on the wild side and date this guy. He introduced me to the beer and the liquor. And
we met at a dance, and I went over to ask her to dance. Asked her sister to dance, is what I did. And she jumped up, pushed her sister out of the way and said, no, this one is mine. That's how we got going, and she grabbed hold to me and never let me go.
When Ray and I decided to go together, we went together for 3 years, and it was a blind date. So I saw two men get out of the car. One was his brother and one was him, and I had to flip a coin to decide which one I really wanted to go with.
She's from the hills of eastern Kentucky, and I'm from southwest Oklahoma from a farm, so a redneck and a hillbilly in Cincinnati, where we both work. And I met Brenda at a Friday night dance where we all went stag, and in my fumbling attempt to make some conversation with her, I commented that she had a ski nose, and she kind of laughed at that, and I thought, hey, if she can laugh at something like that, she's pretty nice.
When I met her, she moved out to the school that I went to, and I saw her in the cafeteria. She was a new girl in town, you know, and I kind of looked at her, and just as I walked out the cafeteria door, I turned around and gave her the look.
And it worked!
And so from then on, we started dating for a pretty good while, and I graduated out of high school, and she was still a senior in high school, and we got married while she was a senior in high school. And I got great pleasure out of her bringing her report card home to me. I said, if you don't make good grades, I will not sign this report card.
This was back in grade 7. My husband, not then, but now, I saw him in his Air Force cadet uniform, and I just fell in love with him right then and there. He started walking me home from school in grade 7 and in grade 8, and in grade 9 he decided he'd actually date me. And we've been dating ever since.
So I'd known Shirley ever since we were probably 5 years old. And at that time, I really didn't care for her too much. She was kind of a tomboy and kind of a bully. So I kind of ignored her the best I could. But along about 15, 16 years old, she started looking pretty good.
In 1967, Mike and his parents moved across the street from my home. I was 13, Mike was 20. And I saw his bicycle outside, and I wondered, gee, you know, what type of person he is. So, to get his attention, I threw a snowball across the street. And that started things going.
56 years later, she's still paying for that snowball.
Marcia and I were married Christmas Eve, 1966. Say, why would you get married on Christmas Eve? That's a real good question.
we were married January 11, 1963, on a bitter cold night. The wind chill was a -40, and we eloped. A couple went with us to Breckenridge, Minnesota, and no travel was advised, but gee, you couldn't stop the sweating.
And we met 2 years later in Winnipeg, and that's where we got married. And that day, on the 8th of February, it was at -40 when we got married. Very cold in Winnipeg. So, but sunny, that's right. And we had our honeymoon in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. It was very cold there too, but we had lots of fun.
No honeymoon until the next summer, but yes, we had a beautiful wedding, and it was raining, and then it turned to sleet, so everybody skidded home, I think, from the dance.
Minnesota, we were married December 14th, 1963, and a cold, blustery day up in northwest Minnesota, about an hour drive from North Dakota.
We were married August 7th in 1966 on a nice cool day in Kansas. And then for evening meal that night, I took her to a fancy steakhouse. I think it was McDonald's or something.
Our honeymoon was the first, it was a disaster.
So all we had in the hotel room was a bottle of daiquiri and a couple of chocolate bars. And we hadn't had any dinner. And of course, Christmas morning, the restaurants don't open early either. You know, 11 o'clock in the morning, we're like at the door, tearing the restaurant door down, trying to get something to eat. Well, anyway, we survived.
Few stories. When we first got married, I was working construction. And, all right, we had a very short honeymoon. It was from Minnesota to Iowa. I got married on a Saturday afternoon, and I went to work Monday morning at 6 a.m. Well, that was the first time Carol was away from home. And there was a few tears. I remember the first time she made me supper when I got off work. And there was tears, and I asked, what's the matter? She says, I added way too much salt to liver and onions. And then she went to the grocery store. You know, I had a beautiful 61 black Chevrolet, and not a scratch on it. Very proud of it. And she took it to the grocery store, and it was a standard transmission. So she parks it, she goes in the store and comes back out, and here it rolled down the hill, and in a pole, and at the bumper and the rear panel. And we're still married. And we're still married. Again, there was a lot of tears.
I had a 1961 Pontiac with two blue lights in the windshield. Anybody else ever had the 1961 Laurentian Pontiac wine color with two blue lights in the windshield? Everybody knew we were coming.
It gave me a ride, and I've been riding for 50 years.
We really haven't made 50 years yet, but on 4th of May, it will be 50 years. And it looks very promising at this point.
We haven't made 50 years either. It's going to be tomorrow, so we probably will make it. And we booked a room in South Padre, and I guess it's going to be a great evening, I hope.
My wife for 50 years, and the key secret to staying together for 50 years is just doing what she says. So I have.
And I've got to say, it's a stick-to-it-ness that you have in marriage. We've been married for 150 years, and most of it has been blissful, and it has been trying. But she is one whale of a good term paper rearranger and typer. God bless her, and I love you, honey. Thank you.
Nobody else would take me, but she was generous enough to take me in. So we've been happily married now for 17 years, which isn't bad out of 50.
I told him, no crazy jokes.
Well, I got the marriage certificate after we had our 50th. I was checking for an expiration date. Just kidding.
I'm not used to being up in front of a crowd like this. Anyhow, that's the way she instructs me to do what I'm supposed to do. and we connected again. I was going in the bank, and she was coming out.
Still doing it.
And she was withdrawing her money, and I was putting mine in. And that's the way it's still working.
Great 50 years, and it's just been like every day. It's just like a big first date.
We're both in college, and there was a fraternity dance, and my girlfriend couldn't make it. So my buddy said, well, I got an arrangement. We can get you on a blind date. And sure enough, this is my blind date. And like I said, 50 years, longest date I've been on.
But who could believe 50 years of marriage? I mean, I don't know where it's gone. But all I can say is, this pair of eyes, the first thing I see in the morning is this young lady, and the last thing at night is this young lady. So I guarantee you the 50 years of marriage has been wonderful.
It's not always been easy, but he's pretty good. And we do most things together, and we spend a lot of time together, and I don't regret it for 1 minute.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you, we have a song called The Best Years of Our Lives. And right now, that's where we are. This is the best years of our lives.
And so the journey continues.
Be together. I would just say one thing. Frank rescued me.
That's all, folks.
Been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin.